So we got this workshop, Credit Consolidator Refi, Impacts with the Student Loan Payment is what we're calling this workshop. So let's give you a little bit of background of what we're doing on this that we're talking about. And it has a lot to do with the fact that you hear all the time from people that I've got a very low interest rate on my first mortgage, and I don't want to change that. But people are not really understanding exactly what their household debt looks like. And even though you may have a low interest rate on the first, well, what about on your HELOC or home equity line of credit? What about your credit card debt? What about your student loans? So in the example that we've got for you today, we took a 3.25% fixed rate mortgage, great mortgage rate. Although you've got credit card debt of $150,000 at a blended rate of 13.1%, student loans of $90,000 at 6.12%, hefty obligations, high interest rates that can eat into your savings if you have to make these payments. Moreover, with the federal student loan repayment moratorium ending in 3 months, this financial burden is set to increase further. This change could affect your ability to refinance in the future, as the increased monthly payment might push your debt to a level where refinancing is not an option. We need to take action while you can, because if your debt to income ratio gets too high, you may get to a point that you just cannot do anything. You have no choice. That's why we're looking at this Credit Consolidator Refi. Plan consolidates your high-interest debts into your mortgage, simplifying your finances into one manageable payment. It may also reduce your interest over time, helping you become debt-free faster. So let's take control of your financial future before student loan payments restart. Let's chat about it. So what have we done here? And we're going to put this on the screen so you can. We'll put it on the screen in just a minute, Josh. So let me finish just giving some of this background here. So the background is you got to figure out what your blended household interest rate is. So what we did here is we have the 3.25% first mortgage, and we took your $100,000 that I just talked to you about that we had in. What did we talk about? $100,000 was a HELOC at 9%. And we did $50,000 in credit card debt, averaging 23%. So the two of those are adding up. And we did these only at interest only for the example that we're using. So we added these up, and we've got, what's that, $20,500 in interest every year divided by $150,000. So that's 13.7% interest. Again, you got a $100,000 HELOC and you got $50,000 in credit card debt. About 13.7 is what that blends out to. You've got student loan debt, $90,000 at 6.1%. Your numbers, I know, are not going to be exactly the same. We're going to talk about the student loan debt in just a minute. Now, we may or may not have to add that into the numbers, but I'll explain that. So let's get over to the chart that we've put together for you. And you can see on this chart lots of columns here. So in this first column that I just highlighted, and if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're seeing everything here. If you're listening to me on radio, go to Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube, or ronsiegelradio.com and look in the archives. It'll be the latest information. And we're going to put this workshop, will be a standalone, but we don't have that done yet because I'm recording it only right now. So in the first column, you're going to see where the current situation is. $800,000 of the property value, $400,000 loan amount. We've got a interest rate of 3.25%, gives us a payment of $27,1583. That's what people think is where they are right now. But where they really are is they've still got that same $800,000 in property value, but the debt really is $550,000, $400,000 from that loan, from the first mortgage that we had in column 1, and we added another $150,000 because that was the home equity line of credit and the credit cards. Now, when we blend that interest rate, it's actually 6.1, not 3.25. Now we know what we're really looking at, our battle plan is. That gives us a payment of $43.73 and 33 cents. Okay, I get that one there. Now, we need to consider this now because in 2 months, 3 months, that student loan debt is going to start up. We're going to be paying $1,000 a month in student loan debt as we sit right now. So you can see we take that $43.73, add 1,000, it comes to $53.73. Got it. Now, what's the value? What are we doing here? What are we trying to accomplish? Well, one thing that we know for sure is this new company that we're aligning with will take a look at that student loan debt, and right off the bat, they've got a program where they run it through all of their simulators, and they find out that as long as it's government debt, this does not work on the private student loans. It's got to be the federal student loans. That $104,000 under this scenario and under these income scenarios, that can be cut to $500 a month. $500 a month. So that right there, we're just showing you how to save $500 a month on that debt alone. So let's go back and take a look. Now, one of the things that we've done here is we went and used, when we did the numbers for the calculations, we actually looked at this and said, okay, we're doing it as interest only on the home equity line of credit and the credit cards. We're not even paying those off. So you're going to have those debts for the rest of your life. Well, you're not going to have them for the rest of your life because they won't allow you to, but theoretically, those aren't, the $150,000 is not getting paid off at all. So let's get back to our workshop. We've been talking about this refi opportunity. The credit consolidator refi is what we call it. The credit consolidator refi. So we've been talking about the idea here, and we've got this chart that we're working off of right now. And we're talking about student loans coming back in a couple of months, having to start making payments on those again. And we've been talking about restructuring our debt. And we've already learned that a 3.25% mortgage rate, when you've got a $100,000 home equity line of credit at 9%, which most of them are higher than that right now, and you've got credit card debt at averaging, various amounts, but we just used an average of 23%. The blended rate, this is what your real interest rate is for your household. Because does it really matter where the debt is? So you've got a 3.25 on your first, that's wonderful. But when you blend all of your stuff together, all of your debts together, what's really happening is you've got a 6.1% interest rate, and you're making an amortized payment, means your balance is going down on the first, but it's not going down under this scenario on your line of credit or your credit cards, because all we built in here was interest only. At some point, you've got to pay that principal back. But we found out that we're at a 4.373 is our total household debt. That's called your household debt service prior to the student loans coming back. When the student loan comes back, when we talked about this, you have $1,000 a month on your payment on the student loan. Well, that brings your household debt to $5,373.33. That's with a $400,000 mortgage, $150,000 in home equity line of credit cards, and the $100,000 or $90,000 in student loans. $53.73. Can you afford that? More importantly, do you want to be making that payment, or is there a better way? Well, I'm going to suggest maybe there is a better way. Let's take and restructure that. We have two different options under the restructuring. Look at column 4. Again, if you're watching us on any of our channels, we've still got the same $800,000 in property value. We're doing a new loan on this one at $559,000. Why do we come up with $559,000? Because it's the cost of doing a loan. right? So we have to put that, we built that cost in there, and you've got a 6.875% interest rate. Yes, that's higher than the 6.1. And you've got a 6.958 is your APR. But look what happened to our payment. Our payment dropped by $300. I like that idea because we're resetting the amortization schedule on this. Now, yeah, say, okay, $300, that's good, but can we do better? Well, maybe we might have to look at what if we buy down the interest rate on that? Maybe if we buy down the interest rate, we might even be able to do a little bit better. So we're looking at all of these different things and putting all the numbers in there for you and seeing where we come up to. If we buy down the interest rate, now we're looking at $38.81.17 is our payment, and that'll be over in the far column. Now we added interest and taxes and all that in there as well, but if you click on the more info button, Josh, and then go into under payments, you'll actually see the monthly payment there on the very last column, $38.81.17. So look what we've done on this scenario, strictly by understanding that your mortgage rate is not the end all be all. Yes, it's great to have that 3.25 rate, but you got to look at your full amount of everything. So we've shared with you in this workshop on the credit consolidator, number one, how do you get that payment reduction with all of your debts? And the secondly, we've also looked at how are we going to deal with the student loan that's coming back? Now, once again, I'm going to share with you, you got to take action. What do I mean by take action? Well, if you wait until that student loan debt comes back on at the full amount, maybe you're not going to qualify for this other refi that I'm talking about. Then you're going to have to figure out how to deal with that. And obviously, your payments are going to go up over time because, number one, you can't qualify for the refi. And at some point in time, you have to start paying back the principal on that $150,000 of home equity line of credit and credit card debt. So your costs are going to end up going up at some point in time. So the bottom line on all of this is we want to make sure that you're looking at strategies that are going to help you over the long term. Take your head out of the sand on some of these things and realize that, something, yes, I do lead a lending team. And it does help understanding that. But what I want you to really know, more importantly, I started doing this radio program in 2010. There wasn't a lot of real estate business. There wasn't a lot of mortgage business going on in 2010. What there was a lot of people that we were able to help. And that's why we started doing it, to educate you. Now, yeah, we would like to be the one that does the loan for you, but go get it done somewhere. Make sure somebody's helping you get that student loan payment cut in half, maybe. Get you on the right plan that might even get you, depending upon the area, you may be able to get it waived completely or get it cut, get credits. Teachers that are teaching in low-income areas, there's a specific program for that. Are you aware of that? Probably not. Most people are not. Public servants, there's special programs for people that work in the public sector. Are you aware of that? Maybe. Almost everybody can get on an income-based repayment plan. Are you aware of that? When they ask you what your income is, do you know what the right number to put in is? You need to understand that it's the lower of the last 2 years. At least that's where it is right now. Maybe the rules will change. But the bottom line is, get yourself educated. Give us a call at 800-306-1990. Get us all of your debts. So what you can do is just go on an Excel spreadsheet, a Google Doc, whatever it is, put on there what your mortgage is, or you can just send us the statements, redact whatever you need to. But we need to know what the mortgage balance is. We need to know what the interest rate is, what your payment is, what your taxes are, what your insurance is. We need all of the credit card debts, auto debts, home equity lines of credit, and your student loans, balances, interest rate, and payment. We'll put it into a blended rate calculator, and we'll tell you what is your household blended rate. That 3.25 might look similar to the 6.1 that we've been using this morning. We're going to put all that in there just so you have it, so you can make an educated decision and maybe save your household some money over time. If you want that information, again, send that to rj@ronsiegelradio.com, rj@ronsiegelradio.com, and we'll see what happens and we'll see what works for you.